What up, what up, what up? How y'all doing? Of course, I'm doing great. UK boxing is back, and we had a little bit of everything. We had knockouts, we had upsets, we had controversy. It was just unbelievable. It reminded me how much I miss a good boxing card, a great boxing card. But yeah, let's start out with. Well, first off, I was late to the show. I caught the end of the Dalton Smith and Ellis fight, and Dalton Smith dominated, stopped him in the third or fourth, or I believe. But yeah, it was crazy. And then the very next fight was Leigh Wood against Reece Mould. Uh, Reece Mould is trained by Josh Warrington's father, Sean O'Hagan, and wow, wasn't this a great fight? Great fight, and this was the first time we got to see Ben Davidson after he's left Tyson Fury, opened his new gym, and started getting a little stable going with his fighters. And Leigh Wood is just one of those fighters who's, I think he's 32 years old. He's been around for a while. He's got one loss. Uh, and Ben Davidson was speaking highly of him. And I know why he was speaking highly of him, because we got to see it. We got to see it in the third round. I believe yeah, Wood got hurt in the third round, and it looked like it was going to be all Reece Mould coming forward, tight defense. Really didn't give Leigh Wood much, and Leigh Wood recovered, and he just started, breaking him down little by little, chipping away at that stone, trying to break that high guard, tight guard. You know, Reece was, really fundamentally sound, offensive and defensive. And it was a back and forth fight. And after Wood got hurt, uh, he dropped. Leigh Wood dropped Mould in the fourth round, and you thought it might have been over if you just put that pressure on. But I think Ben Davidson was telling him, be patient, don't get too crazy, and he didn't. He stayed the course, and then the fight continued, and the commentators for Sky were saying, maybe it's just too much experience for Leigh Wood over Reece Mould, and that turned out to be the fact, because I believe it was, oh, I don't have it in my notes, but he ended up, Leigh Wood, what he started doing was he got cut above his eye in the orthodox position. So what he did is he switched southpaw, and for some reason when he switched southpaw, he seemed to get a lot more aggressive. Maybe not as hard shots, but more volume. He started putting the combos together. Pretty good. And it dawned on me that Leigh Wood was trained by Dominic Ingle, the famous Ingle gym out of the UK. They have fighters like Kid Galahad. They had Billy Joe Saunders for a while. And obviously Leigh Wood. But after Leigh Wood lost, he reached out to Ben Davidson, and they started working together. And it turned out to be a good move, because there was a nice little balance between power and skill. And I think the skill came from the Dominic Ingle gym. And once Ben Davidson got him on the pads, he realized that this guy has some power. If he just sits down on his shots and stops fighting the Ingle way, because the Ingle way is more slip style, slick, defensive, counter boxing. And so he had kind of like the best of both worlds there. And before Leigh Wood got his knockout, he switched to southpaw and just put it on him, damaged him, hurt him badly. And uh, Reece Mould ended up needing to get oxygen in the ring. But, you know, the great part is that he stood up and he seemed to be fine. So that was the first full fight that I watched since I was able to get back here in front of my TV. So shout out to Ben Davidson and Leigh Wood, but Ben Davidson getting his first win after he opens his gym and he's starting to build a stable. You know, he's got a nice little stable going now. And then we came to the controversy part of the card. Now, I know some of the Zelfa Barrett fans are going to be mad at me here, but he lost the fight. Zelfa Barrett lost the fight to Kiko. He lost it by a lot. And but he got the decision, and he not only got the decision, but the scorecards are way out of control, way out of control. I think it was unanimous, and uh, two of the scorecards they had Zelfa Barrett up 7 on two of the scorecards, and the other scorecard it was 16-13. So it was a unanimous decision, but all during the broadcast, they were saying, you know, Zelfa Barrett's down. And uh, in my notes, after 10, I wrote down that Barrett needs a knockout. After 10, I gave Zelfa Barrett 1, 9, 11, and 12. So I had an 8-4 for Kiko. And Kiko is a former champion, journeyman type. He's got a handful of losses, but he's a tough guy. And Matchroom and Eddie Hearn thought that this would be a good step-up fight for Zelfa Barrett. And in my eyes, it was a little bit too quick because, like I said, I thought Kiko won. Kiko Martinez, yeah. Uh, he won easily. You know, Zelfa Barrett was hurt twice in the fight. Kiko didn't seem like anything phased him. He kept coming forward. He kept coming forward. Kept coming forward. And I think after like round 3, I put on Twitter at Eddie Hearn, "Hey, your boy Zelfa Barrett needs to stop circling and moving backwards and set his feet and throw." And he did that the last couple rounds of the fight. Like I said, I gave Barrett 11 and 12. But if you're gonna circle, back up, and punch off the back foot, you have to have stupid power to knock someone out. I mean, it's very hard to knock someone out constantly on the back foot. And I think Kiko realized that and he just kept coming forward. Barrett couldn't hurt him. And in my eyes, it was a flat out robbery. Thought Kiko won. And in the post fight interview, Eddie Hearn rightly said, "How can we keep asking these fighters to come to the UK if you're going to give them scorecards like that? Because it's just ridiculous." I mean, of course, Zelfa Barrett's Eddie Hearn's fighter. So he's going to say Barrett won by 1 or 2 rounds. But the scorecards had him up 7 rounds. That's ridiculous. I thought Kiko won. But these fools had him up 7 rounds. And if you're going to do a flat out robbery, in my eyes, at least give it to him by, at least give the fight to Barrett by 1 round, 2 rounds. Don't make it look so obvious you're going to give it to him by 7 rounds. Absolutely ridiculous. So, that's my thoughts on that fight. Kiko deserved to win. And we might see a rematch. We might not. In my eyes, I think Zelfa Barrett and his Uncle Pat they're gonna have a conversation about that fight and say, yeah, we don't want no part of that again. Because in my eyes, he lost. He definitely lost. And then the main event of the card, Josh Warrington's first fight back on the matching banner. He just dropped his IBF belt because he didn't want to have to fight Kid Galahad again. Like I said, he didn't like that fight. He thought it was boring, too much grabbing and holding. And the one thing about Josh Warrington you have to realize is he's from Leeds. And for some reason, he has a huge following in Leeds. And he's always fighting in Leeds. All of his big fights have been in Leeds. And I think he's one of them fighters that feed off the crowd because he steps up to the plate. And he was a big favorite tonight to win. And look good in his first fight back on Matchroom. I think I looked it up on mybookie.com. I think Lara was a plus 900 for an upset. So anybody who put money on Lara is feeling pretty good tonight. Getting ready to go out and party. Plus 900. Wow. What a mismatch in the bookies. But yeah, Warrington came out. He looked flat. He didn't look himself. Like I said, he might be one of them fighters that just he needs that crowd. He needs that energy. And sometimes when you don't fight at home, or if there's, in this case, a pandemic, you have no fans at all, you just come out a little flat, a little cold, and you kind of have to warm up to the fight ahead of you. But he couldn't do it, and Lara hurt him multiple times. And it seemed like after Warrington got dropped, he just never recovered. I mean, Warrington would throw a punch and miss a punch and stumble without even getting hit. And the referee could have stopped it after the first knockdown because when the referee asked Warrington to step towards him after he got knocked down, he didn't look good at all. And he kept fighting. He's a warrior. He ain't a softie. You know, he tried his best, but sometimes when you get wobbled like that, it just can't come back to you. And this Lara kid who he's fighting wasn't the most skilled, but I mean, God, he was heavy-handed. Heavy-handed, and he did a lot of damage. And even not even looking at Warrington's face, but his shoulders and his chest areas and his arms, they were welting up. I mean, they were red. I mean, it looks like they were, like I said, welting up, bruising, just on his chest and arm area. Not even his face. His face was busted up too, but I mean, wow, that kid must have some heavy hands. And then eventually, Warrington got knocked out. The referee waved it off after the second knockdown and wouldn't give him a count, and rightly so. So now you got to think that Warrington has a lot of work to do. A lot of work to do, and maybe having your father as a trainer, he might need to think about switching it up. I know that's tough to comprehend and tell your father, like, hey, I need a new trainer. Because Josh Warrington's father, obviously, is a coach of Warrington and Reece Mould. They both got knocked out tonight. Leigh Wood and Reece Mould was a 50-50 fight, but Warrington was a heavy favorite, and he shouldn't have lost that fight. And both Sean O'Hagan's fighters got knocked out tonight. So maybe it's time for Josh Warrington to think about making a change for a trainer and stepping outside his father. So that was the UK card, and it was one hell of a card. And we got still two more cards coming up tonight. We got the JoJo Diaz card, and then we got the ESPN Richard Comey card. Uh, there's going to be some good fights on those cards. I can't wait. It's a hell of a day of boxing. And if you're a UFC fan, you got the UFC tonight. Usman's fighting. So it's a good day for combat sports. And UK boxing came back with a bang. It was wonderful to see. And yeah, a lot of crazy stuff happened. Like I said, you had your upsets, you had your controversy, you had your close fights, blood, sweat, and tears. And that's why we love the sport. So, holla at your boy. Like and subscribe. Keep tuning in. I'm going to keep feeding y'all content. And peace and love. Morse House. Peace.